Welcome back to Guinea Something Good behind the scenes. Comment bag. All right, let's jump right in, shall we? First, we have a question from Kiwi Piggies. Kiwi Piggies writes, "Why guinea pigs?" Excellent question, Kiwi Piggies. There is actually a very complicated and convoluted answer to your simple question. Yes, so the reason that I made a series about guinea pigs takes me all the way back to my childhood. When I was a kid, about 8 or 9, I got my first pet guinea pig. And I was so excited that I had my own pet that I decided to create a comic series about him. And that guinea pig was named Joe and looked very much like the Joe that we know today. So as a kid, I drew a lot of comics about my pet. In fact, I even compiled a 170-page comic book, all with these ridiculous stories about Joe, the guinea pig. It was very kind of Looney Tunesy, kind of Joe getting thrown around, squished and trampled, and very visual gags. I was a very little kid. And for whatever reason, I just, I really thought that was a great character, and I kept drawing those comics all the way through high school. I started my website, joegp.com, in the 7th grade, so that was like 1999, so it's a pretty old domain. And I continued doing the comics about Joe all the way through high school. And then at the end of high school, I sort of felt held back by the fact that I was still drawing comics about this character that I had created as a kid. And the drawings were so simple because I had never really changed what Joe looked like. He sort of very, very stick figure kind of drawings. So after high school, I started experimenting with a bunch of different comics. And none of them really ran much past 6 months. I guess I had one called Obscured by Species, where it was like a bunch of different animals, penguin, monkey, robot kind of thing. And that one, I think that one ran about 2 years. But I was sort of wasn't really invested in it. And then I went to cartooning school, and it was there that I really started thinking about, like, what could I make that was me, that really was no one else would make it, that it was something that only I was interested in, or was very specific to me. And that's where I came up with the idea for what's now called Notes from Outer World. Back then I called it Featuring Talking Guinea Pigs. And that was a comic about guinea pigs from outer space going to 19th century Russia. And I created that one, like I said, because it was very specific to me. I like sci-fi. I had this connection to guinea pigs from a kid and drawing that series about Joe. And at the time, I was really obsessed with Dostoevsky, and I read like all the Dostoevsky books. And it just seemed like a really ridiculous and original idea. So I did that for a number of years, and it was very intense because being a graphic novel style, it took a long time to make each page. And it was around, like the second year, I think, that as a side project, I started as a joke. I drew like more realistic versions of Joe and George, which were both childhood pets, and both were in the comic I did as a kid. And so I thought it would be funny to draw them, instead of as stick figures, to draw them like more realistic guinea pigs, but then do like a very simple copy paste. Backgrounds were drawn with a mouse, black and white, except for the characters. Just really crude looking comics, really just as a joke, because I thought this would be a fun outlet for me, since the graphic novel took so much time and energy to make one page, that to whip out a comic in 10 minutes was just a fun outlet. But what I found was that doing these ridiculous comics with my childhood pet characters was just really fun. It was just like, it seemed like a more genuine version of my sense of humor. And not that Notes from Outer World isn't, but because it is hinged on a storyline, it's not like just raw humor. It takes a lot more effort to figure out how to write a story and have it be funny. And yeah, so really, it just sort of naturally evolved from there. And I just sort of kept drawing, making Guinea Something Good. And it was so quick to produce because it's copy-paste that I just never stopped doing it. And then eventually it became the focus. It's just so enjoyable for me. And I can do anything I want with it. It's not limited by anything. Any idea that I have, I can use in the comic. And after a couple of years, I started going to animation school. And so I naturally just started developing Guinea Something Good into an animated series. So yeah, so it's kind of funny. It's kind of an accident. But now I'm making new animations and comics with the characters I made up as a kid, based on my childhood pets. So that's why guinea pigs. A very long answer to your three-word question. But anyway, that's the story. And here we are. So next question. Mike Boggs asks, why does Joe put oil barrels into the ocean as a hobby? That I want to know. You got to try it sometime, man. It's actually a lot more fun than you'd think. It's big. It's a real challenge, carrying that oil barrel all the way down to the ocean. And you usually have to do it kind of covertly. Don't want to be seen by anybody. And then you shove it into the ocean and you just watch it sink. It's very satisfying. But it is dangerous and harmful to the environment, so I would recommend not doing it. But if you get your hands on an oil barrel, I wouldn't blame you. I really wouldn't. All right, next question. Peter Cooperis, in parentheses, Hitman, asks, I wonder, do you do the voice of Joe? No, I do not, Peter. I am not a voice actor, and that is not something that I know how to do. So yeah, actually the excellent voice actor Edwin Tiong does the voice of Joe. Sean Chiplock does the voice of George and Jeremy. So yeah, but if you do want to see how terrible I am at voice acting, watch the animated short Joe Finds Money. I did do the voice of that animation because I was just sort of experimenting when I was learning animation at the time. So yeah, feel free to watch that one and you'll learn why I do not do the voice of Joe. All right, moving on. We have Leafy McGreen asks, what animation software do you use? Leafy. I use Flash CS 5.5. That's the main software that I use. I also use After Effects for post-production, just sort of cleaning it up, making it a little more cinematic. Just has a little more finishing touches I can do in there that I can't do in Flash. And then I use Premiere to put it all together. So mainly Flash, but those other softwares do come in handy. All right, well, thanks for watching this episode of The Comment Bag. Please leave your questions and comments below, and I will get to them in the next episode. All right, see you next time.